Hello, guys. Well, welcome to the Trading with Style Summit. We'll be starting today with Mr. Jesus Nava, and he's going to be going over placing advanced and conditional orders in TradeStation. So without further ado, I will hand it over the reins to him.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the TradeStation Summit. Today's Sunday, April 11th, and it's a pleasure to be here with all of you. Some of you may know me already. Some of you may be members of or subscribers to the TradeStation Masterclass. We do a lot of education there on the TradeStation technology to help every trader be on top of the technology and be able to place trades. Because one thing, it's to have a trading plan, and a totally different one is to be ready to place that trade in the most efficient way. There's no point on having a great plan if once it gets to the point where you want to place a trade, you're looking at the TradeStation platform and you don't know where to go. You don't know what trading tool to use to place that trade, and all the different details that are part of placing a trade that is going to make your trading much more efficient. So today's session is all about showing you some of that technology, some of that order placement that is part of the TradeStation platform that is going to help you become a more efficient trader. Before I jump over to the platform and show you some of these interesting ideas, let me tell you a little bit about myself. If you haven't, been in one of my sessions, I've been with TradeStation a very long time. I joined in 1999, so it's going to be about 22 years. That's a long time, but it's giving me an opportunity to connect with a lot of different traders like you and learn from you and what you expect from a trading platform. So I've been able to customize a lot of my presentations to actually serve and to help you, do the type of trading that you want to do. TradeStation has multiple order entry tools, and you're going to choose the one that fits your trading style. Today, I'm going to show you several of them so that you can see what type of things you can do on all these different order entry tools. Let me go ahead and share my PowerPoint, which I haven't done yet. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my controls over here to a different screen. I'm going to open up the chat here a little bit. So once in a while, I'll glance over. And talking about chat, I know it's going to be challenging to answer everyone's question here. There's over 275 people already connected. So sometimes it is difficult to answer all your questions. So I want to take this opportunity to invite everyone to join me either in the Getting Started with TradeStation channel, where we do Q&A sessions, or inside of the masterclass, where we have multiple opportunities and we connect live every single day. And you have, as I said before, multiple opportunities to ask questions about the TradeStation technology. So this may not be the best place to answer questions that are being said in the chat. So again, the invitation is there for you to join me inside of the Getting Started channel. By the way, the Getting Started channel is a free channel of You Can Trade. Let me tell you a little bit about what we're doing on You Can Trade so that you are aware of all the education there's available about the TradeStation platform. So let's go through some disclosures first. Keep in mind that every symbol and idea that I talk about in this presentation is for educational purposes only. It is not a recommendation of TradeStation. Also, that active trading is not suitable for everyone. And this is especially true if you're trading options or futures, which carry a high degree of risk. And when we look at past historical performance, there's no indication of future results. Let's all be aware of the risks that are associated with trading online. And if anybody would like to read more about these disclosures, please visit our website at tradestation.com. You'll find all the disclosure links there. So I did say that I wanted to talk to you about what we're doing at You Can Trade. We have the Getting Started with TradeStation channel. It's a free channel. We highlight a trading platform every single week. And then we have a follow-up Q&A session. Everyone is invited and everyone is able to attend. Now, once you're ready to take your TradeStation knowledge to the next level, then we have the TradeStation Masterclass. It is $59 a month. It's a premium channel. And what we include with the $59 a month are premium courses. We have strategy concepts, white papers. These are different ideas on how to take technical concepts and turn them into strategies. We meet every single day live, so you have, as I said at the very beginning, different opportunities to connect with an instructor. We do platform training as well. And in addition to the platform training, we also have sessions on technical analysis, strategy trading, easy language programming. So there's a lot of things going on inside of the TradeStation Masterclass. All the sessions are recorded, so you'll have an on-demand library of everything that has been covered, multiple sessions where you can ask questions. And in addition to that, we have special guests join the Masterclass to present to us. So if you haven't become a member of the TradeStation Masterclass, I encourage everyone to take advantage of that 14-day free trial so you can take a look at what is it that we're doing in the Masterclass and if it is something that you want to keep going forward. All right. What we're going to talk about today. All right. So we're going to learn about using activation rules for conditional orders. We're going to take a look at placing trades using one-click order entry tools. We talked at the very beginning about having efficiency when you place the trades. We want to make sure that we are on top of our technology so that when it comes to place that trade, you don't get stuck and the opportunity to put in a good trade doesn't go away. We're going to place trades on the chart. That's a great technology that we have implemented on TradeStation. You don't take your eyes away from your analysis and you can put in your trade right on the chart analysis. Placing OCO and OSO, if you haven't used these types of trades, we're going to talk a little bit about the differences between an OCO and an OSO, what they stand for, and how you can apply them on TradeStation. And at the very end, we may finish off with showing you how to place trades using hotkeys. A lot of you may want that quick order entry functionality where you press a hotkey on the keyboard and you can place a trade. We have that technology also on the TradeStation chart analysis, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Okay, so let me go ahead and switch over to my TradeStation platform and talk about some of the trading ideas that I wanted to show you. Let me, first of all, pull up my trade bar right here at the top because the first trade that I'm going to do is using the order bar at the very top. You know, this order bar that you see at the very top is very common because it has, you know, the usual boxes for you to enter the symbol, for you to put in the quantity, the type of order. So we're all used to this type of setup when we look at an order bar. It's very intuitive when it comes to placing a trade. So I'm going to do a variation of a simple trade so you can take a look at what is possible with TradeStation's technology. What you're looking at right here on this chart is a multi-data chart. What I have here are the candles that you see here are the candles of the S&P E-mini futures. As you can see, the symbol on the top left corner is ESM21. That is the one that expires in September. So this is a September S&P E-mini futures contract. The blue line that you see right there is the S&P index. Of course, the futures is based on the index and all the stocks that make up the S&P 500. So it makes sense to, you know, maybe think of a trade that takes those two symbols into consideration. I have modified the chart, you know, for my S&P index to be aligned. But one thing that jumps at you is that the index is always a little bit above the price activity of the S&P E-mini. This is a 5-minute chart, by the way. So the index is a little bit higher than the prices of the futures contract. This one expires in September. So what I've done here on this chart, or the red line that you see right there at the bottom, is a straight subtraction of one from the other. It takes the price of the futures and subtracts the price of, or the actual value of the S&P 500, and it tells you the difference. So you can see on the red line here on the right-hand side, this negative 7.98 just means that the futures is 7 or almost 8 points below what the S&P index is doing. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to place a trade that is going to buy one contract of the S&P futures, but looking at the value of the S&P index. You can do all sorts of combinations like this. And these are called conditional orders because you are conditioning the execution of a trade based on a different symbol. So think about all the different possibilities. In this particular trade, we're going to take a futures and look at the prices or the values of the S&P index to trigger the trade. Recently, the S&P 500 has been making new highs. The current value of the S&P 500 is 4,128. Maybe we are looking for a break to the 4,200 line or the 4,200 level. And we want to probably put in a trade of a futures contract once the S&P has broken that significant 4,200 level. So how do we put in that trade to trade the S&P E-mini futures based on the value of an index? Well, right here on the trade bar, we have the conditional order technology, and we also have it in other order entry tools. But on this example, we're going to talk about how to do it here. By the way, the way that we are going to structure this class is going through different examples to tap on all the different technology that is available. Of course, you're going to choose what fits your trading style and what doesn't. What I'm going to do here is make sure that I'm on the futures tab, make sure that I have the right symbol right in the symbol box, ESM21. Of course, we picked the worst day to actually do an order entry presentation because it's Sunday and most markets are closed, which is okay. We're going to try to work around that limitation and show you how we can put in some trades. Because the markets are closed, I'm going to go here to the duration and I'm going to set this as a GTC. Whenever the sessions are closed and you want to get some trades ready for placement later that day or maybe later in the session, you can use GTC and it'll let you put in the trades and they'll be queued waiting for the market to open. So that's what I've done here. I've changed my duration to GTC, which stands for good till cancel. And this is buying an ESM21. I'm going to buy that contract a few points lower than the S&P 500 index. So I know the difference between the two is about 8 points. I'm going to grab half of that. I'm going to say, and it's going to have to be a stop market order. Because think about this. If the S&P index trades at 4,200, the futures is going to be about 8 points below. So it's going to be about 41.92. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a stop price to trade at 41.96. And it's going to be a stop market order because most likely when the S&P index reaches 4,200, the price that I wanted, which is 41.96, it's probably going to be above what the futures is trading at that moment. So that's why I'm going to choose a stop market order. Maybe I'll just increase this a little bit. Maybe I'll go to 98, just 2 points below what my activation level is going to be. So I'm going to buy the futures at 41.98, but I'm going to set an activation rule on that order. Take a look at that checkbox. By the way, if you don't see the checkboxes here on the right-hand side of your trade bar, it's because you haven't clicked on advanced over here at the top. You click on advanced and all the checkboxes show up, including activation rule. I'm going to click on the ellipsis to set my condition. My condition is going to be set on a price, and I'm going to type in the symbol of the instrument that I'm going to be looking at, which is the S&P index. I'm going to be adding that as a condition, and I want the S&P index to be trading at or greater than, and I'm going to put in my condition right here, 4,200. We're looking for the S&P index to make that new high. Oh, that's 42,000, 4,200. All right. So we're waiting for the S&P 500 to reach that high. And once it reaches that high, we're going to get ready to put in our order to buy the S&P futures at 41.98, 2 points lower than what the index is trading at. So I'm going to click OK to this. And all I have to do is click on the buy button and the order will be sent. Every time that I place a trade here in this presentation, I'm going to get this little dialogue. So the next times I get it, I'm just going to click on yes. This dialogue is just telling me that I'm placing a trade outside of the regular session, and it's going to ask me to confirm every single time if I want to do that. And every time I'm going to say yes, but this is the only time that I'm going to explain what the dialogue is saying. Okay, I'm going to click yes, and the order, I get the confirmation window. In my sessions, I always talk about confirmation windows, and I say confirmations are great. They tell you what is it that you're about to trade. It tells you the quantity that you're about to trade and an estimated value of cash that needs to be in your account in order for you to trade what you're about to trade. So yes, confirmations are great because it avoids you having to make an error. So what I do in this class is I disable confirmations. So I put a check here that says, don't show me this again, because I don't want to get confirmations every single time I put in an example trade. I always encourage everyone to have confirmations on so you can actually confirm every single trade. If you feel, if you feel very, very, very versed, or and you feel that your knowledge of the technology is really high, and you're comfortable with disabling confirmation, and you want to have that quick order placement speed, then go ahead and disable confirmations if that's what you want to do. But again, confirmations are great to avoid having or making any errors. So what happens here? Well, the chart will show me an order here. It shows me the order line for the S&P futures. Take a look at the price over here on the top right corner. It is 41.98. So it's going to buy the futures contract at 41.98, but only if the S&P 500 trades at 4,200. Where do we see that detail? If you wanted to look at the order and make sure that you set it up correctly, where do I go to check to see that the order is there? Well, I'm going to come over here to the Trade Manager. Okay, Trade Manager is one of the applications that are part of the TradeStation platform. And right here at the very top, I see the very order that I just placed. ESM21 is a buy order. 41.98, this is a stop order. That's why the price is under stop. But if you look at the advanced column is the one that's going to give you the details about any activation rules that you've put in. And you can see right in there the specific condition. SPX.X needs to be trading at 4,200 or more. So that order is going to remain in my account, part of the trade server. So I don't have to have my TradeStation open, but it's already on the server. TradeStation will monitor the values of the S&P 500. And as soon as it breaks the 4,200 mark, I'm going to have an order or an active order to buy the futures at 41.98. All right. Excellent. So that's one of the trades that I wanted to show you. So it's a great feature. You also have time activated rules, but we're going to take a time a little bit later. Sometimes it is very convenient to activate, orders at a certain time. Maybe you want to avoid the volatility that occurs at the very beginning of the day, or you want to wait for a big economic announcement, the exact time that that's going to happen. So you may want to submit an order that it gets activated at a specific time. So if you looked at the settings of my activation rule, not only do I have the chance of setting up a price activation, I also have the ability to set a time activation. So it adds additional conditions to your order. So wait until the specific time to actually submit the trade. All right. One of the questions that I see here in the chat, can you enable orders based on technical indicators? Yes, definitely. That is more on the strategy side, though. You build a strategy inside of a chart analysis. It calculates based on a technical idea. And once the technical idea meets the criteria, then an order gets generated. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at another example and show you some other orders that you can place. Let's talk about discretionary trading. I know there are different trading styles in class. On Friday, there was a session that talked about what is best, either a day trader, a swing trader, or a position trader. All the examples that we're going to talk about today are going to fit all trading styles. Well, let's talk about a more of a day trader example. And for that, I'm going to use the matrix. So let me jump over here to this second workspace that I have here. And my example is to trade Bank of America. Right? You can see that. Actually, no. Let's go ahead and do ESM 21. I can change the symbol very quickly. I can see my my matrix over here on the left-hand side. I feel like the matrix is one of those order entry tools that provides you a lot of information before you place that trade. So it's very cool how you can take a look at what everyone is doing in this particular market. If you look at the blue column and the red column, these are columns that are showing you what's called market depth or level 2. You may know it as level 2. And what you see there is orders from other traders around the world that are sending orders to buy and sell this particular instrument. When those buyers and sellers are wanting a specific price, those orders are going to sit here. So how cool is it that you can have access to what other people are wanting, what other people are wanting to buy, what other people are wanting to sell, and the prices at which they're sending those orders. That's exactly what you see right here in the blue and in the red. In the matrix, you also can place your orders by clicking on the blue and the red. If you want to be a buyer, you join the buyers that are in the blue. And if you want to sell, you join the sellers that are waiting right there inside of the sell column. Let me show you an example. Let's suppose that I'm looking at the same futures contract that we were looking at before, the S&P E-mini futures contract. This expires in September. Let's suppose that I want to buy this at 41.13. I want to do more a trade that is more relevant to the prices that are traded right now. What is the price right now? Well, look at the middle right here in the matrix. We see that the current price of the S&P 500 futures is 41.14. And every time you look at the matrix, whenever you see that highlight in gray, that is exactly the current trading price. So I want to trade this a little bit lower. I want to buy it at 41.13. All I need to do is, well, first of all, on this particular example, I need to make sure that my duration is GTC. Otherwise, I won't get the trade because the markets are closed, and I want to see it on my matrix. The quantity is 1, and I'm not going to do any attachments. So let me disable the attach OSO. We're going to talk about that in a little moment. But if I want to buy at 41.13, all I have to do is click here. It tells me that I'm placing it outside regular session. I'm going to say yes, and the order is sent. Do you see where it says B, 0 of 1? That's my buy order waiting there. So I have a very good visual of where my order is in relationship to what's happening in the market. And you can see how the prices are going to go up and down, and the bids and asks are going to change. And you can see that in context with your own personal order. I find that very efficient, and you are on top of the market, and you see exactly what the availability of contracts is at every single price. If you want to change your price for your entry order, let's say that I change my mind, I want to improve my entry price. Let's suppose that I want to move it to 41.12. All I need to do is click and drag and drop it at the level that I want. Once I do that, the order moves very quickly. So for those of you that are day traders and want to place trades very quickly, the matrix is an outstanding order entry tool to use. And as you can see, I have disabled confirmations. So confirmations are gone. So if you're comfortable with placing trades like that, you can turn this order entry tool into a one-click order entry tool. Let me go ahead and cancel this order. I'm just going to click on the box here very quickly. It allows me to cancel the order by just clicking on it. Very cool. Let's go ahead and do an order with an attached stop. Sometimes we want to trade. We want to make sure that we have a stop in place rather than putting in a trade and have an open position and then be worried about having a stop in place or not. Why not send them together? This is a concept that TradeStation and other platforms do. This is not something that is exclusive to TradeStation. However, it is very cool how we can do it right here in the matrix. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in that same trade, but I'm going to attach a stop with the entry all in one. So you don't have to worry about placing a stop afterwards. So what I do is the first thing is I go here into the attach OSO functionality. OSO stands for order sends order. So you have this primary order that gets you into a position, and you're going to attach an exit or multiple exits to it. In this case, I'm going to go to the dropdown, and this example is just a stop only. So I'm going to do exit stop only. When I do stops, I usually take a look at what the instrument and how the instrument is moving, because it is important, based on the volatility of a movement, your stop may change. If I go over here to the ellipsis to modify my stop, the price offset here is 22. Where did I get that 22 from? And what is that 22 representing? Well, if you look on the chart here on the right-hand side, I have the S&P 500 futures on the chart again. I still have that order that I placed earlier, which I'm going to leave there for now. But if you look at the bottom right here, I have average true range. What is average true range? That is just a simple measure, let's put it that way, of volatility. What it does, it measures the height of the candles, how big the candles are from high to low. And based on that movement, it's going to average and give you an average of what that movement is. So this 2.77 just means that the S&P 500 on a 5-minute interval moves about 2.75 of a point. Isn't that interesting? So based on the time frame here, and I emphasize that word because that is what's going to match your trading style. If you're a day trader, you're going to probably choose a time frame that is intraday, minute, like 1 minute, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, depending on how frequently you want to trade. If you're more of a position trader, you may go to the higher time frames like 60 minutes or daily. And if you're a long-term trader, you probably are going to go to the daily, weekly, or monthly. So the time frame is going to change, of course, the calculation of your ATR and how much that symbol is going to change. On a 5-minute interval, if that is your trading frequency, then I know that the S&P trades about 2.75. What I do is I usually set a stop at twice what the ATR is. So if my ATR is 2.75, twice that would be about 5.5 points. Now, 5.5 whole points is translated into minimum ticks. If you're familiar with futures, you know that every point is 4 ticks. Why is that? Because the S&P 500 moves in quarters of a point, 0.25. That is the minimum price increment. So in order for you to put in a stop loss at 5.5 points, you have to translate that into minimum price increments or quarters of a point. And that is why I have a 22 here, because 5 points would be 20 ticks, right? 4 ticks to a point. 4 times 5 is 20. And then I have another half of a point, which is an extra 2 ticks. And that's why I put in a 22 here to have a 2 or twice an ATR stop. I'm going to click OK. And once I have that in place, I have this checkbox. All I need to do is put in the trade. Let's suppose that I want to buy again at 41.13. I'm going to click here one more time. And the order goes through. And I want you, let me go ahead and cancel this one at the top so that we can see it better. Let me go ahead and go to the cancel button right here at the top. I'm going to cancel the specific order at 41.98. And there we go. We can see the order better. You can see right here that I have my entry at 41.13. And what do we see down here? Yes, you see your stop at 41.0750, which is 5.5 points away from your entry price. But now I don't have to be concerned about putting in a stop, because every time that I put in a trade right here on this matrix with this checkbox checked, every entry will have a stop already attached to it. I find that very fascinating. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at another example. Let's see. Let's switch this to a stock. I'm going to go here to Bank of America. All right. In an ideal trade, you have probably thought about your targets and your stops. And I apologize right now if I'm ignoring some of your questions. I know that there's a lot of activity going on here, and I take this this chance to tell you that I'm inviting everyone to my channels on You Can Trade. The Getting Started with TradeStation and the TradeStation Masterclass, we answer all your questions there. So please make a note that the Getting Started with TradeStation is a free channel, and I'm going to go there to ask Jesus some questions if you need answers, because it's really challenging to keep track of all the questions that are coming in right here in the chat. So I apologize for that beforehand. Okay, so this is Bank of America, and I was talking about an ideal trade, because as a trader, you have a plan. And from the get-go, you have a very specific plan about what is it that you want to do on a particular stock. You have an idea of how much you think that stock is going to move on the upside, and then you are sure about how much risk you want to take. And I say, well, if it's moving this way, the most that I want to risk is this amount. Once you have all your trade, or all the aspects of this trade in your mind, then how do you put that trade into TradeStation? Because this is what's called an all-inclusive trade. This is the type of trade that you put in, submit, and then you shut down TradeStation and go play golf or go to the beach, because we're going to take care of your trade. You already planned it out. You have your targets, you have your stop, you have everything in place. So how do I do that? Well, again, I'm going to choose this checkbox that says attach OSO. I'm going to use it again, but now I'm going to use an exit bracket. A bracket is a type of trade that takes care of a profit target and a stop loss with your entry. So you're covered whichever scenario plays out. If it goes in your favor and you start making some money, then it's going to capture whatever that target is. But if it goes against you, you have something protecting you from losing all your capital. So what we do is we choose one of this. I'm going to choose the simple one limit, one stop. I'm going to come over here to the ellipsis to format this. I want you to take a look at the offset. The offset is set to 10 cents. But again, I like to look at Bank of America in terms of its ATR. If you look at its ATR on a 5-minute interval, it's about 5 cents. So that's an average. On a 5-minute chart, Bank of America moves about 5 cents every 5 minutes. So I use that calculation to be able to set some appropriate targets and stops. Let's suppose that I want to set my stop to 3 times my ATR. So I'm going to set that to 15 cents for my stop. And I want to do 6 times my ATR for my target. So I'm going to do 30 cents here for my target. Okay. I put in my offsets, I click OK, and that's it. I'm already ready to place that trade. Now I can do all sorts of things. I can do a market order if I want to. Of course, market will not work right now because remember, today is Sunday and the markets are closed. But let's say, for example, that I want to get ready for tomorrow. I know that the closing or the last traded price yesterday was $39.99. But let's say, for example, that I'm not going to be in front of the computer tomorrow. I want to have an order in place if Bank of America, trades at a certain level, and I'm going to put in my order at $39.75. $39.75 was the price that was traded on Friday. I'm going to click here and submit my trade. This is my confirmation. I'm going to disable confirmations for now, and I'm going to say yes. All right. So take a look at what's happening here on my chart. When you put in a trade that is a little bit farther than what the current price activity is, the matrix is a little challenging to actually see your levels. In fact, look at my 3 orders right here on the chart. I have my entry at $39.75. I have my target at $40.05, which is 30 cents higher. And I have my stop here at 50 cents below. I don't see those orders right here because the matrix is giving you every single penny in here. When I see this on my matrix, what I like to do is use this box on the top right corner called axis increment. It allows you to squeeze the orders a little bit or the prices a little bit so you can see more detail. And I usually increase that to maybe a nickel. Let's do that right now. Okay, so here we have the orders. We have our entry at $39.75. We have our stop at $39.60. And then we have our target at $40.05, exactly how we see right here on the chart. So now I can shut down my computer. And I know for a fact that this trade will open up tomorrow because it's a GTC. At the market open, I'll have an entry for Bank of America at $39.75. Of course, if it opens up at $39 even, it'll probably get me that price and it'll use whatever offsets I specified. So that's another good thing. You want a price of $39.75, but if it opens at a lower price, this is a limit order. So your order would turn into what's called a marketable limit order. So we're going to get you the best price possible. But if it opens up at 40, then your order's there. It's waiting for, Bank of America to drop to $39.75 to give you an entry. All right. Excellent. Let's go ahead and take a look at some other trades here. Let's take a look at an entry bracket trade. So let me go over here and change my symbol to Bed Bath & Beyond. The symbol is BBBY. Bed Bath & Beyond is right here. Let me turn this into a daily chart. Okay. I've gone ahead and put in some horizontal lines right here on my chart. This is a great type of trade for you to be able to get into the action if something is trading sideways. This is probably not the best example. This is something that I looked for this morning, but I noticed that BBBY, Bed Bath & Beyond, was trading within a $3 range. For the past couple of weeks, that's been the case. Now, if you think that Bed Bath & Beyond, it's due for a breakout, you can get ready for that. And a lot of times, we're not really sure where the breakout is going to happen. I mean, we can look at how close the current price is to these levels and have and assume that, well, if it's closer to the resistance level, maybe it'll break resistance. But very well, Bed Bath & Beyond could go down and then try to touch support again. So that's very possible. So what if you wanted to put in a trade that is looking out for support and resistance, and it's going to get you in regardless of which one gets broken? That's the whole concept here. We're gonna do a breakout trade. If it breaks resistance, I want to be long, but if it breaks support, I want to be short. How do you do that? How do you tell TradeStation to actually monitor the prices to keep an eye on that? Well, you use what's called an OCO. An OCO is an order cancels order, because you do have to connect these orders so that one side cancels the other when they're executed. Let me show you one example. The entry breakout option is right there. You notice that you have multiple options. This is an entry breakout. The scenario that we talked about, there's other entry templates there that we don't have time to talk about. But again, join me in the masterclass and I'll be glad to provide you additional details on this. I'm going to go here to the ellipsis. And when you look at the offset right here is set to 10 cents on the buy and 10 cents on the short. This is something to think about, because right now the current price of Bed Bath & Beyond is $30.03. When you look at the buy order, which would be my top level, we're talking about maybe some 50 cents. That's if I look at the price here and I look at the value here of my horizontal line, we're talking about 50 cents. So this is something that you have to keep in mind when you're setting your offsets here. How far is the level that you want to hit from the current trading price? So my target or my resistance level is 50 cents away. My stop level or my short level, which is my support level right here, is 27, which is about $3 away. So this is my stop. My short trade will be $3 away from the current trading price. So think of price offset, because when you put in this trade, it's going to look at the current price of the security and it's going to set these orders at those levels that you have specified. Maybe I want to go outside of this channel that I've created. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to do 55 cents right here for my buy order. And I'm going to do 27. I'm going to do 3 and 05 here for my short entry. Once I click OK, I can set or place or click on this big button that says place OCO order. When I do that, let's see, let me do that again. I'm placing these orders. I have spaghetti right here on the chart. What happened is that I forgot to disable a checkbox. Let me go ahead and click on this cancel all yellow button and do that again. What I forgot to do is uncheck this box that says attach an OSO, because this is I mean, you can take this trade and turn it into a more ready and all-inclusive trade. If I just do the entries right here, let me uncheck attach OSO, and I just do the entries. That's not what I wanted. Okay, so let me cancel all. I think it reset whenever you place that trade, it resets the offsets. So I had to say my buy order is going to be at 55 cents. And my short order is going to be at $3.05 from the current trading price. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to place the OCO order. There we go. You see where the orders are? I got my order here at 26.92, and I got my buy order here at 30.52. It's right on the line, which is not what I wanted, but I can cancel. I can replace that order. Let me show you what adjustments I can do by using chart trading. If you are the type of trader that likes to trade on the chart, because of this reason, because you've drawn levels, you've looked at some technical analysis, maybe you want to use a moving average and set your average as a stop level, A lot of times you want to be able to adjust your orders right here on the chart without having to leave. So what I do is, let me go ahead and maximize this chart, and I'm going to enable chart trading. Chart trading is a little tool here on the top. It gives you the ability to modify orders right here on the fly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my horizontal lines away from my orders, because I want to show you how you can take this order, which is right now. Let me open up my chart a little bit more. My order is right now at 30.52, and if I want to turn this at 32, let's raise that order at 30 to 30.55. It's going to do a cancel replace, and it's going to push that order outward a little bit. You see what is happening right here on the chart? Without leaving my analysis, I'm able to enable chart trading and just grab the line and move it to a different location. Very cool, right? So you can take this trade, as I said earlier, to the next level and have some exits associated with each one of these entries. Because the two lines that you see here, they're both entries. The top line is an entry to go long, and the bottom line is an entry to go short. You have nothing to protect you. You have no targets. But if you want to take this trade and turn it into something more inclusive, let me go ahead and cancel all this. I'm going to do it right here on the chart trading platform so you can see how it works. I'm going to do attach OSO. Let me check the settings here for the offsets. This is 10 cents each. Let me turn these into just $1 each. $1 each on the top. Let me change that a little bit. Let me do $2 on target, $1 on stop. Okay, and right here, I'm going to do the breakout the same way that we did earlier. For the offset here, I'm going to do 60 cents on my buy order and $3.10 on my short order. I went a little bit higher than before, which is totally fine. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to place that OCO order. All right, so let's do GTC. That's what it's telling me to do. There we go. You see what just happened? With one click of the mouse, I was able to put in an order that is multi-order. With one click, I was able to place 6 orders in total. This is an all-inclusive trade. Now, yes, I can shut down and go to the beach. Today's Sunday, right? And this trade right here is ready to be activated tomorrow when the session opens. I have my entry order. If it breaks resistance, it'll go long. And if it goes long, it'll cancel everything on the short side. But if Bank of, in this case, is Bed Bath & Beyond. If Bed Bath & Beyond goes down and breaks support, it'll go short. It'll cancel all my long setup, and it'll be short. But not only that, but it has your profit targets and your stop losses in place as well. I find that to be very useful. Let me see what my time is. I think we have a few more minutes to do one more example. But I wanted to show you that you also have the ability to trade directly on the chart, which I find that fascinating. If all your analysis and all your levels are on the chart, it makes no sense to go to a different order entry tool to put in your trade. Put it right there on the chart and manage it right there on the chart. I wanted to show you some interesting functionality here that we added to chart trading. Let me go ahead and cancel all this. I have a position open on CVS. Let me go ahead and pull up that symbol here. And let me remove this ATR at the bottom. So this is CVS. I got in at 73.93. You can see the yellow level right here. But I don't have a profit target or a stop loss. A lot of times, you want to be able to look at the return ratio, or what's called the risk reward ratio of your stops and targets, and have that calculated value visible on the screen. We provided you this checkbox right here at the bottom that says preview OCO exit orders. I find that to be very valuable because you can see where the levels are and how your return ratio gets adjusted as you move these levels up and down. This is the daily chart of CVS. All right, let's suppose that I want to use, maybe this low as my stop and this high as my target. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a check here where it says preview OCO exit orders. And I'm going to go to the drop down here and choose an exit bracket. I'm going to do a simple one limit, one stop. Notice how my button now turns into a preview OCO order. Let me go here to the ellipsis and see what my offsets are going to be. Well, if the current price is 74.07, I think my high is going to be somewhere about $3. It's going to be my target. All right, so the current price is 74.07. Let me move this a little bit out of the way. This low right here is about, 71.70, maybe. That's about $3 or $2. So if it's 71.70, it's about $2.30. Let's do $2.40. All right. I can always adjust those levels. I'm doing the math in my head, but the nice thing about chart trading is that, okay, you've set a level that is approximate, but then you can just move those orders and be a little bit more precise as to the price that you want. But the reason why we have this preview OCO order is that you're not going to send the orders right away. You're going to have a preview of those order lines before you submit them. Let me go ahead and show you exactly what I mean. I'm going to click on preview OCO order. And there we go. We get these very cool dotted lines showing you where the orders would be. Let me show you something. Let me move my chart here to the left and show you some of the information that is right here on these levels. First, you have a target for 100 shares, which is $2.97 away from, I believe it's using your entry price. Yes, from the entry price, $73.93. So it's exactly $2.97 above from that. That's a 4% increase. It's giving you a estimated profit of 297, and here's where the return ratio is. Based on the current target and the current stop, your return ratio is 1.22, which means that for every dollar you lose, you make $1.22. Not the ideal ratio on the type of trades that I put in. I like to most times have a 1.5 to 2 return ratio. But the nice thing about having these lines and not have the orders in place is that you can adjust the levels on the fly. Let's say that I want to adjust this level and move it higher here to this low or the close of this candle right here. I'm sorry, the open of this candle. Take a look at the return ratio. It actually recalculated because you're moving the line of where the order would be. Now my return ratio is 1.62, and you can see the difference between how much am I targeting in comparison to how much am I risking on this trade. So these calculated values are a great way for you to determine where the orders are going to be. If you are satisfied with where the orders are going to be, all you need to do is then click on this red button again that says place OCO order. Once I click there, the orders are submitted at exactly those levels. So the preview OCO exit orders is a great way for you to take a look at the trades, calculate what the return ratio is, what is the net distance between your entry and those targets and those levels, what the percentage movement is, and better yet, what is the potential loss or the potential profit of these orders that you're placing. Okay, so that's, again, right here, this checkbox that says preview OCO exit orders. I thought I was going to have an opportunity to show you some custom OCOs, but I mean, there's so many different details and so many functionality available on TradeStation platforms that it's interesting that I can use a whole session just talking about all these intricacies on trading technology that everyone can utilize. There's another checkbox here. Let me go ahead and cancel all these orders and switch to a different symbol. I'm going to go here to Verizon. Verizon, the symbol is a VZ. There's a checkbox here that says enable keyboard trading. When you enable keyboard trading, you get this type of disclaimer, and just read it and just enable it. Keyboard trading is on when you see this yellow outline around the trade bar, and you also see this yellow circle on the top right corner of the chart. It means that you've turned on keyboard trading. Keyboard trading, again, is the checkbox right here at the bottom. If you like keyboard or the shortcuts of keyboards, you're going to enjoy this functionality a lot. The first thing you do is map hotkeys to what you think or what order should be triggered by what hotkey. Let me go over here to the settings. You click on the settings right here. It's an ellipsis button on the right-hand side. It gives you this dialog, and I'm just going to give you an example. I have set my buy limit, take a look over here, buy limit to Alt-B. So every time I press Alt-B after enabling keyboard trading, I'm going to put in a limit order. And this makes it very useful and very quick for you to submit an order. Let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to click OK. So we know that Alt-B is to place a limit order. I'm going to place the hotkey right now, Alt-B. When I do that, take a look at what happens on my chart. I have a blue line, which is my potential limit order. It's at 57.40, as you can see right here on the right-hand side. And you get this little yellow box giving you the symbol, the price at which you're going to be trading at, the quantity, and the route. Route intelligent, it's just the order entry technology that we use by default. You can always choose your route. If you're not really sure which route to pick, I usually recommend just leave it on intelligent because we'll make the routing for you. But these two things right here, the 5740 and the 500, are things that you can customize using keyboard keys as well. If I want to reduce, or if I want to enter the market at a different price, let's say that I want to do 57.35, all I need to do is press the down arrow key a few times until it reaches 57.35. And if instead of trading 500 shares, I want to trade 1,000, I press the page up key for 1,000. Once I have my trade the way that I want, I hit the enter key, and then it places the trade. You see how cool that is? Now, I had the checkbox with OSO checked. So it actually placed a profit target and a stop loss. This is something you can have on as optional, meaning that when you put in a trade, it automatically puts in your targets and your stops, or you can do that with the hotkey as well. Let me go ahead and cancel the order. I'm going to press the tab key. Notice that as I press the tab key, I'm going to be switching to different orders. For example, as soon as I press the tab key, I notice that it highlighted my target, allowing me to modify that. Let's suppose that I want to bring that down to 59 even. So I'm just going to go here to 59 even, and I'm going to hit the enter key. Okay. Once I do that, notice that I just changed that order. If I press the tab again, I can modify my entry order, or I can tab to my stop and modify my stop. If I want to raise my stop to 55.50, I do that with the up arrow key, hit the enter key, and I modify my stop with just the keyboard. This is some very cool functionality and very cool technology for those of you that like to use the keyboard for order entry. Let me go ahead and cancel this trade. I'm going to highlight my entry, and I'm going to press the delete key on the keyboard to cancel my order. And as quickly as that, I was able to adjust my order, hover over the entry order, and cancel that order outright. Okay, I'm going to take the last few minutes to see if I can answer some questions here from the chat. Thank you for the time that you spent here with me. So let's go ahead and take a look. When doing keyboard trading, this is from Chris. Can we see the return ratio you showed a few minutes ago? When you do keyboard trading, can we do that? Not sure. Let me see. The thing is that, let me go ahead. One is cannot be connected to the other. So yeah, to answer the question, no, it cannot be done. Is this available on mobile app or desktops only? This is a question from VNUD. It's available on different platforms. Or let me take that back. It depends on what you're referring to. If you're referring to the hotkey keyboard, it doesn't apply to mobile. But if you're talking about the OCOs and OSO with targets and stops, it's definitely available on mobile. By the way, we do mobile presentations on the Getting Started channel on You Can Trade, so make sure you join us. There's a recording there. So if you become a member of the You Can Trade community, you have access to the archives that I've done on the mobile. Let's see, Ria is asking, can these be set on options and options pricing as well? Yes, you can. You can do, well, there's some limited functionality on options. You can do it on single legs. not on spreads, but yeah, if you're trading calls or puts, you can definitely have an OCO or OSO attached to an options entry order. Did you set up the dual S&P and futures chart with difference below? Yes, I did set that myself. You have to go to the data and add symbol to create what's called a multi-data chart. Those are some of the ideas that we talk about in the masterclass. So I want to encourage everyone to visit us there. Can you show us the OCO with the break-even stop? Unfortunately, we ran out of time. So I invite you, John, to join me inside of the getting started, and I'll be glad to provide you an example there. On Wednesday, we're going to do an open Q&A. So keep an eye on that at 12 noon Eastern time. So if you have any questions on the technology, this is a free Q&A for anybody that wants to use TradeStation. Currency pairs, you just have to type in the symbol, Rachel. We don't offer trading services on currency pairs, though, so that's something that we don't provide. If you enter 2 contracts, once you hit target 1, can you auto set your second stop to move to break even? Jose, that is something you can do, definitely. That requires a custom OCO. I go into detail about how to create those types of orders, but you can definitely have a stop loss that moves over to break even stop once a target has been reached. Can keyboard trading be done on pre and post market sessions? That's a good one. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure you can. That would be something that I would have to try. So limit orders. Remember that outside the regular session, the only types of trades that you can put in are limit orders. So it's a little bit limiting. Can you trade Forex on TradeStation? Not at this time, Bassam. Vinod says, can I preset and save my settings so I do not have to do the settings every time I place a trade? Yes, you can change the defaults so that you don't have to change the offsets on every single trade. All right. All right. I do not see button 3 options in my matrix. Not sure, Bupen. The buttons should show up. So make sure that the chart is resized to its maximum size so you see if you can see them. All right. I think I have to end the session right now just to give an opportunity to get the room ready for our next presenter. I want to, again, thank you for the time that you've given me. Make sure that you visit us right here on youcantrade.com/channels. TradeStation is the host of Getting Started with TradeStation and the TradeStation Masterclass. For any questions, make sure to join me on Wednesday at noon, and I have an open Q&A session for everyone. Thank you for your time. Hope you enjoy the rest of the summit, and thank you for being part of this event. Have a wonderful Sunday. Bye-bye.